Hello and welcome to the Autodrome at the Slovakia ring. It's been a while, 2 years absence, and right now we are back with the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We are ahead of race one and it is grid walk time. As you can see, the fans are strolling by, all with their smartphones prepped for the best pictures to take, but the best pictures you get here is on our live stream channels here in our channel. So we are very glad that you are back. We do see the team of Norbert Kirsch gathering around his famous red MRN, and he leads the pack, the standings, with 101 points. In striking distance, we have Jochen Hahn and Sascha Lenz. And the Promoters Cup, this is led by Shane Brereton, double winner at the Hungaroring. Speaking of the Hungaroring, let's have a quick look back. And oh, this is a nice banner here. Follow me, from the Apollo Tires. So let's have a look back at the Hungaroring. We do love to see wheel-to-wheel action, of course, but the Hungaroring was very special. We're looking forward to see the first race here at the Slovakia ring. Recently, I spoke to Georg Fuchs and he had some very, very good news. This is it.
Yes, there's really great news. So earlier this week, the World Motorsport Council, the highest sporting authority of FIA, decided for amendment of our regulation next to other topics like Formula One topics, and they amended basically the regulation to welcome hybrid and electric race trucks from next year onwards, which is really great news. Another step in our sustainability strategy together with FIA and the teams and the event organizers. So we are really happy about that one. We are prepared to welcome hybrid or electric race trucks in the future. And maybe this will happen earlier than everybody expected.
A good start during qualifying, as we see him here right in row 2, and as you can see, he explains to you why this track is so special.
Because it's very long and fast corner. Some corner it's for 2 or 3 times turn to one side. It's overheating the front tire, and especially in this weather.
I hope that we have better results than Hungary. You know, I mean, I like the track. I mean, this track is quite nice. It's a little bit bigger for track racing, but it has a lot of corners, very fast corners. And yeah, I mean, I hope to do as best as I can and to take as much as point as we can. You know, I think that the team did a very good job to rebuild the track from the crash in Hungary. So I hope that everything runs well and we can do good results.
Racing in the Slovakian countryside. We hope you are also prepared and ready for a fantastic beginning to our race weekend.
So we are here with Adam Lachko. This is almost a home race for you. What does that mean? Yeah, almost in quotes, of course.
Yeah, it's like home because many years ago we are Czechoslovak and now we are Czech and Slovak. But when we come here like a home race. But because it's many spectators, Czech and Slovak spectators coming because it's very close. And I hope I do the best.
You explained to us, because we interviewed you earlier, you explained the specialities of this track. You've got now more experience, of course, the first rounds in the books. After the qualifying, what did you expect from the track, and how is it possible that you get the best out of your Freightliner?
Here is a very special long corner, and there in this corner, the front tire it's crying. And after time practice and Super Pole, we see it's already a little bit used. And we hope after the 8 laps, we have still some front tires. When I spoke with another guys, we have same feeling about the front tires, and we hope it's good. And I hope we have very nice start without the crash. And I try to make the best.
Let's have a look at the front tire here. What do you see? Could you explain?
This one is good, but the second one, because it's all corner, it's the fast corner is to the right, and it's overheating and everything, but it's for everybody the same.
Absolutely, for everybody the same. You had a good year back in those days. What do you expect from the race?
I would like stay on the podium like every time, but it's not so easy. The temperature is so high. And it's very hard to say before the start. We see in Hungaroring what happened after the start. It's very hard to say what I would like, but in the first corner, everything changed.
But you can make a wish, though. Thank you very much, Adam Lachko.
Thank you.
So we saw some wheel-to-wheel action at the Hungaroring, maybe a bit too much, but of course everyone is prepped right now. Chas Dracut and Joachim Eberts, you want to see some action, of course, too. I'm glad that you are with us, guys.
Thank you very much, Christina. Yes, it is finally time to go racing. And after what was, well, what seemed like a very long qualifying session, we are ready to go for the first race of the weekend. Hello, everybody. Chas Dracut here, commentating back from in the UK. And my colleague Joachim Eberts, EB as he's known, commentating from over in Germany to give you the German coverage as well. As you can see, though, the heat is absolutely baking the circuit here at Slovakia Ring. It was nearly 40 degrees yesterday, and it's apparently going to be 40 degrees again tomorrow. Track temperature earlier was 55 degrees Celsius. It's absolutely balmy, the conditions this weekend. But there is the gorgeous Slovakia Ring, a very, very interesting and very long circuit. 6 kilometers, 3.8 miles. We're on the variant number 4, as it's known, where you go around the whole sort of outer loop. And then just before you get down to turn 13, which is in the bottom right of your shot there, we do a U-turn at turn 3 and then go over the entire infield without the small chicane that we sometimes get at turn 9. But it's a long, long straight as well. Used to be a runway, actually, the start-finish straight. So it's a lot of a much wider part of the circuit compared to the rest. And Christina is down there with us for an interview.
Yes, with Davide Califano, talking about tires, who would be better than Davide Califano from Goodyear talking to us. Thank you very much to giving us an inside perspective. Of course, there's this long corner, and everyone is afraid, or as Adam Lachko said, the tires are going to scream. I don't know what that sounds like, but what do you say from your professional point of view?
No, I would say that Slovakia Ring is historically one of the most demanding circuits. I would say for the European Truck Racing Championship is the most demanding circuit. Temperature also are not helping, very hot days, so of course tires will be under challenge. But I think this is part of competition. Tire management is part of the competition, of any competition. So of course the tires can cope with the whole day. We must remind that basically teams need to use the same set of tires for the whole day. So they need somehow to handle the performance and to manage the performance. So of course this will become, let's say, another variable during the day for the racing. So that's it's going to make it even more interesting, I guess.
Anything they can do to save the tires, put in more or less air pressure, or just extra cooling, or just give it like this a bit in ahead of the tires? What would you do?
Yeah, of course, everything is a matter of balance, So you need to find the right balance between the performance, the pressure, the wear, and this is exactly what the teams are doing. Everybody has his own formula, his own magic formula, which is not willing to disclose to anybody. So, but that's their magic. So we cannot we cannot influence that.
We do see many wizards today then on the track. Interesting is also we're not going to lose rubber because we're going to keep everything. You're going to re-shred the tires afterwards. How's that managed?
Yeah, basically since 22 we are retreading the tires, so it means that we are taking the tires after the race, we are bringing back to the Goodyear factory, and then we are retreading the tires to as normal tires that can be used on the road with normal trucks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to you.
And as you have seen, there's an airplane right up in the sky and also flying very, very low, Chas. This is amazing to see for us as well. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, there's always a good spectacle around events like this, and it's nice to see some good bits of kit in the air as well as on the surface. There is the number 23 T-Sport Bernauer truck of Antonio Albacete, a man that took one of his first wins in many years, actually, at Misano earlier this season. He's currently got 2 podiums as well throughout this championship. Of course, that is only a mere drop in the ocean. That is his total tally of over 100 wins. And, well, he's only 1 podium away from 275, the most out of any driver currently on the grid. Norbert Kisch will start on pole position. There he is, truck 1 on the right-hand side, the red machine, with truck number 2, Sascha Lenz, alongside him. Those two wearing their numbers as their finishing positions from the 2021 championship last year. They had a fantastic battle all the way through, but Norby was able to open up such an early advantage that he was able to hold on and have a bit of an easy coast towards the end of the season. You can see the breeze is definitely very potent right now. It's really, really windy out there on track by the look of it. And it's a very flat circuit as well with just a couple of hills. And, well, no points for guessing who's next up for an interview. We see Christina down there with Stefan Faas in the number 24 machine.
Yes, and we were very glad to see him back here because obviously you had some problems at the Hungaroring. You couldn't compete as you wanted to and as we wanted to see you. How was it possible to get the truck going? I think that it was a team effort as well.
Ja, wir haben jetzt quasi zu Hause in den 2 Wochen alles gegeben, um die 2 Motoren wieder in Gang zu kriegen. Wir haben es geschafft, haben ein bisschen Schwierigkeiten gehabt, um verschiedene Teile zu bekommen. Aber wir haben alles, denke ich, richtig gemacht und das ganze Team war wieder volle Kanne dahinter und wir haben wirklich alles gegeben und sind auch happy, jetzt hier zu stehen und der Motor läuft. Mal sehen, wie es nach dem ersten Rennen ist, aber wir sind guter Dinge.
Fingers crossed. So this was a team effort. They spent the last 2 weeks rebuilding 2 motors up. He said they had little difficulties finding spare parts. Of course, not an easy situation. But the whole team, they really worked tough together and they managed it. And he said maybe, and he hopes that he can compete and will finish, of course, race 1. Das ist ja ein super spezieller Track hier gerade, der total lang geht, deswegen auch nur 8 Runden. Ist das was anderes? Gehst du da anders ran als bei den anderen Rennen?
Also ich muss dir ganz ehrlich sagen, ich gehe nicht anders dran und ich war ja hier viel mit den Tourenwagen und das ist ein absolut Mega-Ring, ja. Für den Truck ist er etwas schwierig, weil es hier sehr lange gezogene Kurven hat, wo wir mit 160 durchfahren und da schon an die Grenzen von den Reifen kommen. Und durch die enorme Hitze, die wir halt hier haben, ist es noch mal anstrengender, auch wirklich für die Reifen ein Problem. Und ansonsten eigentlich mega, ja, ich freue mich schon drauf jetzt.
Exactly. So he's a well-experienced touring car driver, and so he experienced a lot here on this track at the Slovakia Ring. So he does not prepare differently to normal races, normal because normally they do compete in 12 rounds, and today it's going to be 8 due to this 6-kilometer track. But he says, of course, as every driver is saying right now, that the conditions are really tough, and we also talked about the tires. The tire management is a crucial point today. So we hope to see Stefan Faas with the Scania competing all the 4 races this weekend. And Chaz, you're going to be with us all the 4 races this weekend, I'm sure.
Well, I hope so. As long as my internet holds out here in the UK, it's been ropey at certain times when it's been warm. It's actually nice and sunny outside as well right now here in the UK, but nothing quite like the temperatures these drivers and teams are having to deal with there. There is Stefan Faas once again. He's such a great character as Stefan. He's always really, really happy to sort of be around our TV crew and all of the camera guys. You know, he's great. Absolutely great. There is Frank the Tank as well in the white overalls, just over to the right-hand side of your shot. We also have Barbara, who seems to be stood on top of the Iveco right now. She's getting a hell of a good view of the grid. She'll be managing, of course, the social media and all of the press releases for the championship once again this weekend. And we will soon see our beautiful Iveco S-Way pace truck make its way around. The bio-LNG powered Iveco S-Way as well will make its way around. Everybody is being called off the grid now. Only the sort of necessary personnel are staying on the grid for this moment. And the Ford F-Max will get going soon to do the sort of reconnaissance lap and just to make sure that everything is all clean and fine on the circuit. And still on the grid, not one of the people that will be running away at this moment in time, is Christina.
Absolutely not, unless they were taking me off this grid here. But I'm here with Luis Recuenco, race by race entry. Buenas, esta corrida está muy especial por ti también. ¿Cómo están las condiciones de hoy?
Bueno, las condiciones estamos un poco novatos ahora porque llevamos como un año más o menos sin poder competir porque bueno, nos falta un poco geometría del chasis y pesos también del camión, pero bueno, estamos aquí, vamos a hacer esta prueba, vamos a hacer Nürburgring también y esperemos que vayamos un poquito más adelante.
So he said that he's glad to be back here because since 1 year he was not able to compete, the chassis was not ready prepped and some parts were missing. So he says we're looking forward as the whole team to compete, but also they're trying to get some more space in between them and the back end of the track, of course. Señor Recuenco, este circuito tiene unas curvas muy estrategias, vamos a decir así, ¿cómo van a competir?
Bueno, este circuito es un circuito muy bonito porque tiene curvas de casi de todo tipo, rápidas, lentas y bueno, pues la verdad es que hay que trazarlas muy bien. Lógicamente, cuando tienes el camión de la mano y lo tienes más adherido a ti, pues lo haces cada vez mejor, ¿no? Esto se va solucionando vuelta a vuelta y cuanto mejor, más tiempo, mucho mejor.
So that was really interesting. He's looking forward to all the different types of curves. He said there will be some more just faster, some slower, and he needs to find his strategy, and he's really looking forward to compete, as you can see in his eyes. So that's really nice to see Luis Recuenco finally back.
Yeah, it really is. It's always good to have these race-by-race entries popping up on the grid to bolster the numbers a little bit. I've really enjoyed having drivers like Luis Recuenco on the grid. And I think, to be honest with you, he's got quite a challenge ahead of him this afternoon, as a lot of the drivers do, especially with the temperatures. But starting that far back on the grid, he needs to make sure that he keeps it tidy in the opening laps and tries to make up any places while everybody is sort of checking up in front of him and obviously compressing, as they often do in these opening stages. There's some of the fans out on the banks around the circuit. There's a lot of them at the Slovakia ring and a lot of fantastic vantage points as well. As I said during qualifying, this circuit is almost in some sort of triangular arena. You can see most of the circuit from every single point, which is really, really cool. And you get that a lot more with these more modern circuits where everything's a bit more flat. It's built around what used to be an airfield, so you can see pretty much all the way down the start-finish straight in one go. And from any sort of particular corner, you can see a lot of other corners on the circuit. A number of the fans there in the grandstand, which is actually above the pit building. There is a bit of a rooftop sort of terrace on the left there, but look, over on the right-hand side of your shot, you see that grandstand, which is awesome to have. It's not something you get at many circuits around the world. And our Ford F-Max, the International Truck of the Year 2019, has started the sort of inspection lap just to make sure that everything around the circuit is all good. And they will give the final word to basically give the nod that all is okay. Last time we had Lucas driving the Ford F-Max at the Hungaroring. It's either himself or Ralph. And we have our own little graphic for the inspection lap now as well. That's cool, isn't it? I like that. You can still hear the aircraft making its way around. I guarantee you that's not the noise coming out of the Ford F-Max. But this wonderful machine has had a lot of hours and a lot of even lab testing going into it to make sure that it is the best truck it can possibly be. And all of that, of course, amounted to it winning the International Truck of the Year award in 2019. It's a shame not to see any Ford F-Maxes on the grid for this season. But it would be great to see some racing Fords, following, of course, Ford's amazing motorsport heritage, into this sort of championship. You can see now just making its way around the infield. It'll feel like an absolute age to do an inspection lap around here, to be honest with you. It'll be well over 3 minutes for the Ford. You can see just how steep the hill is in the background there, actually, on the run down to turn 2. They go up and over a really big crest. And it's actually a lot steeper, isn't it? Look at that. It's like that. It's at least the height of the trucks and more. And then look at the way that the cab rolls like mad through there. That's something that we don't get much of in the racing trucks, is actually the way that the sort of cab moves separately to the rest of the chassis on these things. The cabs and the chassis are still separate, but obviously with them being racing machines, it's paramount to their performance that they are a lot stiffer than this sort of machine. Again, up over one of the hills, as you see there. Look how far away it is as well. It's amazing how much this track spans from one end. They're just heading down now into turn 13. Sorry, apologies, turn 10, and then 11 and 12. And then into turn 13, which will be over another crest, which is this one here. And then they will complete the lap, and we will get word on whether everything is fine. I imagine it is. If it was, they probably would have stopped by now and picked something up. But as is often pointed out, to me especially, I love my blue trucks, and the two wonderful blue beauties, as I call them, that we have, the F-Max and the Iveco S-Way, both do us a fantastic service, and we're grateful to have the support from the manufacturers here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. So all of that is done. Again, look at the reflections on the surface here down this very long start-finish straight. Goes slightly downhill. There is the 30-second board. Being held proud and held high. As you see, we have about 15 seconds left based on the counter on the gantry there before our Iveco S-Way will hop into life and suddenly depart the grid with Frank at the wheel. As soon as that hits 14.5, there you go. Look at that. Beautifully choreographed. Right on time. Norbert Kish and Sascha Lenz make their way away from the grid, or Sascha Lenz hesitantly makes his way away. That seemed like it had trouble sort of going in gear there for Sascha Lenz. I hope that's not a sort of overriding issue that we see more of. No disrespect to Norbert Kish, but I'm hoping to see a solid fight between himself and Sascha Lenz and see Sascha really try to upkeep that title fight. And everybody now makes their way around turn 1 before they go slowly up the hill and over the crest down to turn 2. But the Honda Civic Type R sort of safety car at the back, or medical car, you can guarantee that they'll get to whatever scene of an accident very quickly in that thing. And as I mentioned earlier, our Iveco S-Way is powered by bio-LNG. That's what those humongous chrome tanks are on the side. You would, of course, normally have the fuel tanks in that sort of location, and if you have the sort of endurance tanks on a truck, you'll have one either side. But these massive bio-LNG tanks are one of the greenest ways of getting the Iveco around. And after having a ride in that thing at Misano last year, I can tell you, it's not short on power. That Iveco, it is a very beefy machine. It'd be interesting to see if Iveco ever do the tanks in certain colours, but obviously you need to have certain things like that just finished without paint or anything around the outside of them, just in case. You never know how safe it is to have objects like that painted. The field makes its way around, looking fantastic as ever. We're really spoilt rotten, actually, with a bright and colourful grid here in the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And it's good to see them all out on track, showing their beauty once again. So, Norbert Kish and Sascha Lenz on the front row. Jochen Hahn ready to do battle with Adam Lachko from row 2. Two guys that have been doing this for a long time now with a lot of experience. Steffi Halm and Antonio Alberthetti make up a very interesting row 3, actually. Look out for those two trying to make moves early on. Andre Kurzim starts 7th with Jose Rodriguez, the highest placed of our Chrome drivers in the Promoters' Cup. Next up, two rivals for the championship, Shane Brereton and Teo Calve. They will start 9th and 10th. 3 wins apiece so far in the Promoters' Cup for both of those guys. Jamie Anderson has 2 wins. He had a great time on the Sunday at Hungaroring. He starts alongside Stefan Faas on row 6. And then the back row of the grid, we have Louis Requenco in the number 64 truck and Clemens Hecker in number 25, the Scania at the back of the grid. We've got a 14-strong field for this round of the championship, which is nice to have. It's always the sort of number we go for in this series. And look at the way that the Iveco chucks itself into turn 10. And you see how quickly you have to change direction one way, then the other. And then we go back over the crest down towards turn 13. Now we're going to get a really good run out of turn 13 back towards the start-finish line. Frank will bring in the Iveco S-Way pace truck. Who's your money on then, everybody? Who is your money on? It's hard to guess at this point. Norbert Kish, surely a favourite. He's got some different bodywork on the front of that MAN as well. There's some more cutouts either side, just ahead of the wheel arches. Well pointed out by my colleague Joachim Eberts. Look at the way the field spreads out here as well. They have to run side by side in where the grid slots are. And we will get this race underway then. So the red lights are on the gantry in the first race of the weekend at the Slovakia Ring in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Yes, it's a mouthful. Is underway. It looks like a great start by Sasha Lenz, actually. I'd argue that he's already in front of Norbert Kish on the way down into turn one. We know that Sasha Lenz is good off the line with these rolling starts. Looks like Steffi Halm's had a good getaway as well. She's down the inside of Adam Lachko. Everybody just filters their way through, tries to keep it nice and tidy. And still, Norbert Kish holds on to the lead. Steffi Halm and Adam Lachko still side by side for fourth place. But Jochen Hahn in third place. He's going to be happy with that at the moment. Maybe to try and be opportunistic and get down the inside of Sasha Lenz as they go through turn two. At the back of the field, though, we have Teo Calve, who's actually fallen quite a bit further back. Teo Calve seems to have dropped a bunch of positions in the early stages, but there is your top three. Trucks 1, 2, and 4. Kish, Lenz, Hahn. Anybody that's a fan of four-letter surnames will be really happy. Sasha Lenz just slots in front. Louis Requenco in the middle there. Down the inside of Stefan Faas and Clemens Hecker, who has actually moved up the order as well. Looked like Shane Brereton got a bit squeezed to the outside of the circuit there as they left turn 3 towards turn 4. There's a great scrap going on there. Look, in the Promoters' Cup, off in the dust and in the distance. But Norbert Kish keeping it nice and tidy as best he can round turn 6. Very, very tough. Andre Kurzim is in the middle of it all ahead of Antonio Alberthetti, so he's made up a position early on. Look at the way that they all dance and wobble on the power on the way down into turn 8. And try to exit again as fast as possible. The whole top 9 all together. Shane Brereton was leading the... Actually, sorry, it was Louis Requenco that was getting squeezed out before, not Shane Brereton. He's ahead of Jamie Anderson in the Promoters' Cup right now. So it's Jose Rodriguez that's lost a few places. And I'd argue that maybe him and Teo Calve had some sort of coming together in the opening corner, because Teo was right behind Jose on the left-hand side of the grid. And they've both lost a bit of ground. You can see there Requenco fighting with Stefan Faas. The two of them right together. And Jamie Anderson has got back ahead of Shane Brereton. So he now takes the lead in the Promoters' Cup. But it's Norbert Kish leading the race. Sasha Lenz in second. Jochen Hahn third. Then Steffi Halm. And then Adam Lachko. I mentioned last season that Steffi Halm and Adam Lachko had a theme of making trucks 44 and 55, P4 and P5. And they're doing it again. Norbert Kish takes a wide line out of turn 13. Sasha Lenz does tuck in behind him, but there's not much point tucking in and trying to get slipstream in these trucks, as they are all governed to 100 miles an hour. 160 kilometers an hour down the straight. So if you sit in the slipstream, all you were doing is heating your own truck up more and more. Over the hill once more, and it's spread out a little bit at the front. However, it's a very consistent train, isn't it? All the way down. Jamie Anderson doing a great job. He was saying that when they sort of fixed the truck and rebuilt it on Saturday night after the Hungara Ring and did an engine swap, the new engine is brilliant and it's really been going well for him. So clearly he is making the most of it. Norbert Kish hard onto the brakes. Leads the way, but not by a massive amount early on, you know. Sasha Lenz is managing to stick with him at the moment. It's a very demanding circuit, this one. Very tight and twisty. Oh no, Louis Requenco's gone straight on. I still can't get his name right. Clemens Hecker goes down the inside as Louis rejoins. The two of them are right together. Looked like Louis was just pushing as hard as he could to try and stay ahead of Stefan Faas down into turn 3. And now in the middle there is Teo Calve waiting to take advantage as well. But he's got pressure right behind from Jose Rodriguez. The two of them, like I said, were right together at the start of the race. And they're all absolutely glued together once more. Sascha Lenz, he's got his mirrors full of Jochen Hahn right now, but he needs to focus on Norbert Kisch ahead of him, who is trying to break away. And up over the hill again they go. Now this is Antonio Albacete pushing, ironically, the don't-touch racing machine of Andrei Kurzim down towards turn 13. Andrei sticks to the inside. Antonio looking around the outside, maybe trying to make use of all the different lines you can have around turn 13. There's plenty of ways to make it work. Take a late apex and tuck it in for the exit, or turn in early and let it run wide and sort of tighten up the corner on the exit. Looked like somebody has kicked a load of dust up on the exit of turn 14. But still, Kurzim gets a great run out the final corner, actually. Started 7th on the grid, moved up to 6th at the expense of Antonio Albacete's T-Sport Banal machine. There is Adam Lachko in the beautiful Bagheera ZM Racing Freightliner. I really do love those Freightliners. It's a truck that's been around for a long, long time, but it's a great-looking piece of kit. And still competitive, still very fast. Speaking of fast, there's a real display of just how quickly these trucks go. To see these things moving at 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers an hour, is a sight to behold. I urge you to go and watch truck racing if you ever get the chance, whether it be in the British Championship, the Dutch, the French, Spanish Championship, or even, of course, the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Please do go and watch it, because even if truck's not your sort of trucking or truck racing isn't your thing, you will still enjoy it. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Now, this battle is completely swapped around here, because Teo Calve is still in the middle, but Clemens Hecker has dropped 2 places, and Jose Rodriguez has gained 2. So they've swapped completely around there, somehow. Can't quite see which of the sectors it was that's changed it. Actually, it was over the line. Oh, sorry, during Sector 1, actually, Rodriguez has got ahead. So it was through the very first sector. He was a good 7 or 8 tenths quicker than Teo Calve, and Clemens Hecker was some 2 seconds slower. So all of it has happened there. There's a lot of dust being kicked up in the background. I think that's a bit too much dust for somebody to have just ran wide. Off the road, because he suddenly lost those places again. And he's gone back. You can see there's bodywork damage in the left rear. So he's clearly had a hit at some point. And now Antonio Albacete still all over the back of Andrei Kurzim. Up over the hill, Antonio moves over to the left again. Look at the speed that they accelerate up and over the hill. And the investigation has begun into, this is the official steward's investigation, I should say, into what happened between Calve and Rodriguez at the start of the race. Across the line then, Norbert Kisch has completed 3 laps. Sascha Lenz is 2.3 seconds back now. Norbert Kisch put in a lap that was 8 tenths quicker last time round. And then 7 tenths quicker the lap before that. So he's starting to open up the advantage at the moment. Jochen Hahn has dropped away a little bit. Steffi Halm still has to keep her eyes on the mirrors, though, because Adam Lachko is right behind. And look at this now. While Andrei Kurzim is trying to defend from Antonio Albacete, and Antonio is trying to get through, behind them, Jamie Anderson, current Promoters Cup leader in this race, is trying to do his best to unsettle the pair of them. Jamie will be really happy with this, to be right up there with them like that. I mean, looking back at the results from the Hungaroring in races 3 and 4, Jamie had a great time, finished 5th overall in race 3 and then 6th overall in race 4, and he finished ahead of some of the Titan class drivers as well, those that don't fight in the Promoters Cup. Adam Lachko doing his best to stick with Steffi Halm. The gap has opened up from 7 tenths to 8 tenths in that first sector, so Steffi just doing enough to keep the advantage. But there is the trio that chases them down. And again, just trying to keep it tidy around the likes of turn 6, turn 7 and turn 8 to carry that momentum. It's so important in these machines. They may have all the power in the world and all of the torque in the world and handle really well for their size, but they are still very much about momentum. Of course, a lot of motorsport is, but in machines like this, it is even more important to squeeze every little thousandth of a second out of them. There's more dust being kicked up there, and somebody has gone off big time again, actually. That looked like someone's gone way, way out wide. I'll keep my eye out to see exactly who that is. Oh, well, I don't need to look anymore. Louis Requenco, and that is, again, the same corner that he kept having problems with during qualifying. We saw him go off twice during quali, and now he's gone off again. It's that tricky turn 6, because you're accelerating on the exit of turn 5 while turning right, and then all of a sudden you've got to slow the truck down, manage it on the brakes, and still get it turned into turn 6, which is a continually tightening hairpin. It seems like he's just not quite got something set up to get the truck through there as tidy as he'd like. 4 laps in the books then. The gap now 3.1 seconds for Norbert Kish over Sascha Lenz. What's the gap back to Jochen Hahn? 4.7. Steffi Halm is still 0.8 of a second ahead of Adam Lachko. Andre Kurzim has got Antonio Albertetti and Jamie Anderson still right behind him. You can see the white and yellow truck just in the middle of your shot now is Andre Kurzim. Antonio tucked in behind him. Jamie Anderson even closer. And while this is all good fun, it's good clean fun. All of our trucks race on 100% renewable HVO diesel. And there are black smoke rules as well in the championship. So if the truck does emit any sort of black smoke and nasty fumes that we don't want, then they will get black and orange flagged and told to come in and try to sort the problem out. So the championship is very proactive in its way of keeping things clean. There is Norbert Kisch's beautiful Revache Racing MAN once more. A gap nearly 3 seconds now to Sascha Lenz. He's really turned the taps on in this latter stage of the race. I say latter stage, we're into the second half now. Lap 5, this is. Our timer on the left sort of shows you how many laps are completed, not necessarily which lap we're actually on. And well, Jamie Anderson, he's counting the laps now until he can have a go at Antonio Albertetti, and I think it might be this lap that he does it. Look at all the dust kicked up by Antonio. Either that or it was some sort of 007 smoke screen that he was trying. And there is a 5-second time penalty for Shane Brereton out of all drivers. Shane gets the penalty. So I'm wondering whether he might have caused the contact at turn 1, which is what put Teo Calve and Jose Rodriguez off the road, because let's not forget, while Teo and Jose were nose to tail at the start of the race, Shane was the truck between them in terms of position. And Teo Calve, I'm afraid, has actually had to come into the pits because his windscreen has had an issue. So that must have been from some of the early contact. I have been sent footage of said contact, so I'll try and have a look when I can. But right now, Norbert Kisch leading the way in a beautiful fashion. And I've just seen the footage, actually, from turn 1. And it was basically a 3-wide scenario, as Adam Lachko is now ahead of Steffi Halm. The Freightliner moves in front on board with the number 44 machine. You can see a slight crack in the windscreen there on Steffi's machine. You see just how much they lean on the left-hand tyres as they come around the exit of turn 13. Adam slightly cuts the grass on the left-hand side of turn 14. And then look, they get 100 miles an hour in the books, and that is it. There is no further action between numbers 14 and 25, which is Jose Rodriguez and Clemens Hecker. I think that might be down to the positions changing in the middle sector earlier on. But yes, coming back to the turn 1 incident. So Shane Brereton put his nose down the inside, where he was already on the inside of Jose Rodriguez and Teo Calve. Teo was on the outside, Jose was in the middle, and Shane made contact with the right rear of Jose. That put him sideways and then into the side of Teo Calve. The two cabs hit each other quite hard, and obviously that has dislodged the windscreen on the number 20 Bagheera Zedem Racing Freightliner. The other one is going well, though, in 4th position It's where Adam started the race, though. He lost a place to Steffi early on, but he's done well to get that back. And he's now trying to hang on as Steffi gets very close under brakes into turn 3. These two separated by 15 points in the championship. Adam had a great time at the Hungaroring after a tough start to the season at Misano. But he really turned that around with some good results in Budapest. Again, Steffi now just trying to fill the mirrors as much as she can. Because she needs to try and put the pressure on Adam again straight away to make sure he cannot get away. But at the moment, it looks like Adam's got that thing pretty well sorted. I'd be interested to hear about the sort of the tyre management differences between a truck like the Freightliner, which distributes its weight slightly differently compared to the Iveco, the Team Schwaben truck Iveco that Steffi is driving. Now, speaking of distributing your weight differently here, these guys are all having to think about that tenfold as they battle with one another. Andre Curzim, Antonio Alberthetti and Jamie Anderson. Jamie's clearly been nibbling away at the back of Antonio's MAN. You can see a bit of the bodywork there moving around, well picked up by our cameraman in the grandstand at the final corner. Into turn 13. Jamie takes a late apex on the way in. Tries to tuck it down the inside on the exit. Nothing quite doing for him then. There's so much dust being kicked up in the air all around this circuit by drivers just simply touching the grass that little bit. It's dried the grass out so much with all of this hot weather that it's so dusty. And obviously the large gravel traps all around the circuit as well will get blown all over the place and all the settling dust trapped in the grass. You can see behind this trio, we've still got Shane Brereton, who's going to have that 5-second penalty. That will still keep him ahead of Jose Rodriguez, but he will drop behind Stefan Fass. And thus will drop to 3rd in the Promoters' Cup as Jamie Anderson moves to the right-hand side of Antonio Alberthetti. Looks down the inside into turn 2. Doesn't quite get the overlap, and it looked actually like Antonio closed in on Andre Curzim. He's pushing him around the exit of turn 2. Moves to the left-hand side. Andre goes to the right to defend into turn 3. They're all stuck to each other as they go down there now, hard onto the brakes. You see them all spread out slightly. It's what we call the accordion effect. Andre has to keep his cool, if possible, in this heat, and make sure that he doesn't let the truck wash out wide or anything. Flings it through the left at turn 4. And then again, you see them sort of bouncing and wobbling their way around each of these corners when they have to transfer the weight from one direction to the next. You got an idea there of the real contours at the side of that Iveco S-Way. It's a gorgeous looking machine. It seems really odd to see trucks sort of heading head on at each other like that, doesn't it? From that camera angle there. That was, I believe, Clemens Hecker exiting turn 3 as the other guys came out of turn 7. It does go directly back on itself, really. But this is a fantastic and intriguing scrap between these three. And there you go. Now, this is something new for the championship. You'll see that penalty at the top there, a 3-second time penalty for Clemens Hecker for a lambda sensor. So what a lambda sensor does, if you're not aware, it basically can detect fumes going through an exhaust system. A lot of the time, if people sort of modify a car and do what they call a decat, which takes out the catalytic converter, then the lambda sensor, which is usually in the catalytic converter, goes with it. So you will always get an engine management light on because you don't get a lambda sensor. Trust me, I know that from being a yob. However, the championship uses lambda sensors to its advantage to monitor what I mentioned before about the black smoke rule. So if you have black smoke and a certain level of fumes coming out that the championship is not happy with, then you get a warning to fix it. Or, of course, you can carry on and try to maybe somehow overcome it, if that's even possible. But unfortunately, it has been one too many times for Clemens Hecker during this race, so he gets a 3-second penalty. And there will be more of that as the championship goes on. It's not just going to be judged sort of visually by stewards around the circuit anymore. It's actually done on pure facts and on numbers, which is great to see. You know, the championship, again, clamping down on that sort of thing for the sustainability and the whole clean persona that the championship wants to show off and does such a good job of doing. And it's not just clean in that form either. This is clean racing between these three as well. They're all stuck absolutely together. I would say it's one big 12-wheeled MAN, but it's a 4-wheeled Iveco chased by an 8-wheeled MAN in the form of Antonio Albacete and Jamie Anderson. Looked like it was just Andre on his own there. That's how close they are together. You wouldn't ever think you'd see a shot like that with trucks, would you? It looks like one, but it's actually three. There's Norbert Kish. He's going through turn 6 right now. He's got a 6-second lead over Sasha Lenz. He's having a fantastic time out front, as always. Pretty sure that Norbert has won every race 1 and 3 so far this season. And then he dominated the final race at the Hungaroring to really make his fans very, very happy, as there's yet more dust and grass being kicked up all over the place by all these drivers. I'm intrigued to how the wind blows it onto other parts of the circuit and potentially makes the circuit quite slippery. Another word on our sustainability there, that all these trucks run on 100% renewable HVO diesel. 100% renewable, so it's just wonderful to see that the championship can, of course, keep it green like that with all of the fuel. I can't believe we're already on the last lap, actually. These races do fly by, I always say it. Makes his way towards the end of the lap. He's just heading into turn 13. You can just see on the left of where he is now, actually, that's where the circuit joins on, like the entire outer loop. There are many different layouts here, as you do get in a lot of modern circuits these days. This is the sort of 2008, 2009 circuit here at the Slovakia Ring. But around the final corner, for the first time this weekend, we have a race winner, and it is Norbert Kish in the Revesh Racing Team #1. Great, great drive. That's his 6th race win of the season. His 69th career win. Nice, Norby. Nice. Sasha Lenz finishes in 2nd place. Jochen Hahn finishes in 3rd. More podiums their way. Those two are tied, actually, with the most podiums this season. 7 apiece for those guys. And Andre Kurzim is just about going to fend off Albacete and Jamie Anderson, who takes a win in the Promoters' Cup. That's his 3rd win on the bounce for Truck 33. Very well done to Jamie. Shane Brereton crosses the line next up. Will he finish ahead of Stefan Faas? I think after the penalties applied, he will not. He was only just under 4 seconds ahead. So Stefan Faas will move next up. Jose Rodriguez, Clemens Hecker, and Louis Requenco will round out your finishers. Teo Calve, unfortunately, retiring after the damage to the windscreen. But Norbert Kish, well, dominant as ever in the first race of the day. That's kind of how this goes at the moment with Norby. He and his team do an amazing job at continually developing that truck. They've got some more aerodynamic cutouts, actually, in front of the front wheels on that machine now in the bodywork, so they're constantly working to develop it. You'll see them there in the very bottom corners of the front bodywork where the Revesh Racing logo is. Doesn't get much better than that, though. Pole position by a large margin, 1.2 seconds, setting a new qualifying lap record with it. And a race win by some 8 seconds. 7.988 to be exact, but there's not much rounding up needs to be done to call that 8 seconds. And now we wait 3 to 5 working days for them to do their in-lap. Standard postage, of course. Because even at full chat, a racing lap round here is 2 minutes and 43 seconds on average. The fastest race lap record has gone as well, actually. Norbert Kish beating that by quite some margin as well. The previous lap record on this layout of the circuit was set in 2017 by Norbert Kish in race 1, which was a 2 minutes 43.925. He's just beaten that by just over a second. He's just done a 2:42.884. That is pretty amazing, isn't it? Pretty amazing. So already, Norbert Kish has beaten the qualifying and race lap records in just a matter of hours here at the Slovakia ring. Really goes to show how good the drivers are these days, and of course, how well these trucks get developed as well. No disrespect to the previous records, of course. That was also held by Norbert Kish, 2017, like I said. Antonio Albacete has the race lap record on the 4B layout, as it's called, which has a little chicane around here. Basically, at turn 9, it's extended slightly to be a little bit of a chicane just to slow everything down. There's a graphic there in the top right, or there was, sorry, I was a bit late for that one. But the Truck Grand Prix will take place at the Nürburgring from the 15th to the 17th of July. And I'm delighted to say that I will be there on site for that one as well. So you may see me on your screens at some point over the weekend. But it is possibly the event I'm looking forward to most this year. And I've got a 30th birthday coming up, and that's making me feel really old. Our marshals, as ever, waving the flags in appreciation. I must thank the marshals as well, because, of course, without them, we would not be able to go racing and do what we love doing here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Marshals all around the world make it possible for motorsport to happen, and it's a voluntary role as well, which we thank them for endlessly, because they deserve the thanks that they get. I mean, you consider that they stand there in a marshal's post like that with the tyre barrier before them. Yes, it's unlikely anything will go off at that angle, but still, you know, they put themselves on the line, on the front line, as we call it, to make sure that everybody has as safe a time as possible and everything is well looked after. There is Norbert Kish, and there are those cutouts at the bottom of the bumper that you can see that the team has worked so hard on developing, and it's another race victory this season. 9 races done now, and Norbert Kish has won 6 of them. Sascha Lenz, another second place for him, still keeps in touch in the points battle. And the Team Low and Power squad will be happy with the points from that one. Shane Brereton not doing too badly either, to be honest with you. There is Jose Rodriguez and Clemens Hecker. A lot of dust and gravel all over Clemens Hecker's truck, and actually, to be fair, all up the side of Jose Rodriguez's truck as well. They've definitely earned a wash down, at least, after this. Jochen Hahn has pulled up on the left-hand side of the shot there for 3rd position in that race. And Norbert Kish will step out, I'm sure, into much nicer conditions. He'll be happy with the fact that it's much cooler outside than it is inside the cab. He's just checking over the front left, though, to see if there's anything wrong. Maybe just looking at what the tyres are like at the end of the race. They might have felt like they'd gone off. It is a tyre killer, this circuit, especially in these conditions. There is Sascha Lenz. Getting some congratulations with one of the T-Sport Bernau members. And he makes his way over to his team. And a big hug. And a well done for 2nd place and more valuable championship points, especially in the first race of the day. These races award more points than the second races, where the reverse grids come into effect. And there is Jochen Hahn. Makes his way around. I think he's looking for Norby as well, actually. He's thinking, where have you gone? Either that or something has definitely gone wrong with Norby's truck here in this corner, because Jochen seemed to know exactly where he wanted to look as soon as he walked around there. And the drivers will, I think, make their way straight up to the podium. Oh, no, there is Norbert Kish. Christina is down there, I'm sure, to interview him. And we'll get a quick word with him before he makes his way up to the interview. To the podium, potentially. But as always, Norby showing great appreciation for his entire team. You know, they are such a well-oiled machine, this squad, and they all have such massive respect between themselves and each other. And it's great to see it. There we see more drivers emerging. Stefan Fass making his way around. A big hug there for Sascha Lenz. And there is Christina with Norbert Kish.
Thank you very much, Chaz. And he's taking off his helmet, changing for a cap. Good idea. Also in favor of the sponsors, of course. Much more better. Congratulations. It's been a tough race due to this weather conditions also. Great competition with Sascha Lenz at the first corners. And you were checking your front tire. And a lot more.
Yeah, thank you. We were checking each other's because, yeah, this circuit is really, really hard on the tires. I mean, you should take a look at the tires, and they don't have such beating anywhere else in the season. You know, this is for sure the hardest on the tires. So it's I guess it's all about the tire use, the tire management in one lap in a qualifying, just as well as in the race. Because yeah, it's very difficult. Also the circuit and the temperature. It's summer.
But it was really unusual to see you all like sneaking around the trucks and maybe have a look at some other parts too, or what?
No, just the tires. I think everybody's most interested in the tires. That how is the competition using the tires? What is left of the tire after the race? Yeah, you know, we try to draw some conclusions, you know, out of that, and maybe change something in the setup for the next races. If maybe we can make the tires hold up better, then for sure that's a big advantage. So yeah, that's why we are looking at each other's. And this is the best chance you have, you know, to look at the tires, because then in the Park Fermi and in the technical checks, it's not really possible to go and see the tires. So this is the best chance we have. But yeah, you know, good win. I am really happy. Good job from the team, you know, because yeah, after we go home from the Hungaroring, the repair continued, you know, at home. That it looks like a new one, you know, now. So you don't find any trace of the crash in the Hungaroring. So yeah, the team did really a good job, and it's working quite well. And the tires are also looking nice.
Thank you very much, Norbert Kirsch. So we're going to have a look around, see if Jochen Hahn is somewhere around here, Chaz. As you can see, brand new trucks, and let's sneak around also and have a look at the tires. Why not? I mean, we are already here, so please, you can see that a lot of rubber has come off. Right now I was sneaking around too, as always.
Yeah, they looked absolutely battered, those tyres did, especially right on the edge of the ridge there. You can see actually a lot of the time when these trucks are making their way around the paddock quite slowly that they have a humongous amount of what they call caster angle on the wheels. So they really sort of tip the wheel away from the body of the truck, so that when the truck itself is going round a corner and it's leaning on that tyre, it keeps the tyre as flat as possible. But even around a circuit like this, when they are really leaning on those tyres, and I mean really leaning on them, it does start to shred away the outer sort of edges of the rubber and really sort of round off the tyre even more so. And it looks like with the temperatures combined with that sort of pressure, it is an absolute nightmare. And fair play to Goodyear for making such a durable tyre to withstand it all. What else could be said about Norbert Kirsch? He withstood all of it, didn't he? 8 seconds, another fantastic victory for him over Sascha Lenz and Jochen Hahn. More solid podium points for those guys. Adam Lachko and Steffi Helm had a good scrap, with eventually Adam coming out on top. Andre Kurzim finished 6th ahead of Antonio Albacete 7th. Then it's Jamie Anderson who takes a win in the Promoters' Cup ahead of Stefan Faas, just finishing ahead of Shane Brereton after Shane's 5-second penalty was applied for causing a collision. Jose Rodriguez was one of the drivers to lose out because of said collision. He had a bit of a lively race apart from that anyway. He finishes 11th with Clemens Hecker in 12th. Louis Requenco finishes in 13th, and I promise I will get his name right one day. Teo Calve, unfortunately, did not finish after coming in due to a windscreen issue. And this is what it does to the championship. 121 points go the way of Norbert Kirsch. Sascha Lenz, he's knocking on the door of 100 points now with 98. Jochen Hahn in 3rd place, and then it's very close between everybody else. Adam Lachko just ahead of Antonio Albacete, who now jumps, Antonio just stays in front of Steffi Helm, but Steffi closes in that little bit more. Kurzim, Calve, Anderson and Brereton round out the top 10. The bottom 3 of them actually tied on points. Rene Reiner. Stefan Faas is 13th. Martin Gibson scored 5 points back at the Hungaroring, and he is ahead of Heinrich Clemens Hecker, Jose Rodriguez and Thomas Robineau, meaning that every driver that's raced so far this season has scored a point. This is what the Promoters' Cup standings look like after that, and Shane Brereton makes it to 100 points. Very well done to Shane. He is leading this category now ahead of his fellow countryman, Jamie Anderson. Teo Calve drops to 3rd after that, but still they have quite the gap over everybody else. Clemens Hecker just ahead of Stefan Faas. Jose Rodriguez in 6th place ahead of Martin Gibson, Thomas Robineau and Louis Requenco in 9th place, gets 6 points for his first appearance. So now the drivers and teams will hope that things cool down, but of course that may not be the case. Jamie Anderson is going to start the second race of the day on pole position as well, because we have 8 trucks reversed in our reverse grid races. And with Jamie finishing all-important 8th, he is the only Promoters Cup driver to get reversed. So he will be first with 7 Titan drivers between him and his next competitor, which will be Stefan Faas. And then Shane Brereton will be next up. So it's going to be a really, really good moment for Jamie Anderson to get some strong points on the board. There was Dominic as well, one of the championship organisers. Norbert Kish, all smiles right now. It's great to see everybody out enjoying themselves in the sun. Jamie Anderson certainly had a bunch of smiles on his face as well, didn't he? A very, very happy boy indeed. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing what it's going to be like with the reverse grid thrown into all of this as well. You can see all of the, look at all the pink media vests down there. So much media in and around the circuit. Everybody waiting to feast their eyes on our podium procedure. And we'll get them out on those top 3 steps in just a moment's time. Out steps Jochen Hahn. He will be the first man to make his way up onto the podium. Gives everybody a wave. That's his 7th podium of the season. Same goes for Sascha Lenz. That's a big, sturdy handshake, that, isn't it? And Norbert Kish takes his 6th win of the season. Very well done to Norby. Another great performance to start his race weekend. And now we get the trophies handed over. And that is Mr. Califano giving the trophies away. It's great as well. One thing I must say, I mean, I'm probably slightly biased now that I have a trophy in my office, but it's great that we do get different trophies at different circuits. It's not the same trophy for every single round. It's quite a nice touch, actually. Sascha Lenz now has his silverware. And Norbert Kish, the final man to receive a trophy, but the first man across the line. Well, you can just see how windy it is. The flags have got an absolute mind of their own up there, haven't they? It's like they were trying to escape their duties for the afternoon. But it's a very familiar podium in this championship. But that's not to say that it's always straightforward between these guys. They always have great battles out on track and really enjoy what they do, as you can see. I mean, the camaraderie between them all is always really strong. And it's such a friendly and beautiful paddock to be a part of. And Sascha Lenz, I've been saying this now, Sascha is surely due a championship at some point. The Grid Girls run for cover, as they often do. Sascha Lenz tries to pop the cork on its own, and there you go. Are they going to soak him? Are they going to soak him? You could see them sort of formulating a plan again. They're waiting until he's used his champagne bottle up. And oh, there you go. Fans get drenched as well. Great to have fans so close and on eye level with the podium as well. Somebody's got absolutely soaked down there. I think that might actually be Jane. I think that might be Jane, who I mentioned earlier, getting absolutely drenched in the corner of the podium procedure. And there you go. A little bit more champagne for Norbert Kish. That's a never-ending bottle of champagne that Jochen Hahn's got. But of course, they try to keep the race suits nice and dry ahead of the next race of the weekend. Nice to see as well, Sascha Lenz giving away one of his Goodyear caps there. Those Goodyear caps are not easy to come by. You can't just go and buy them. They are always given out for race victories from tyre manufacturers. And now I believe we have the Promoters' Cup podium going on, which will be Shane Brereton in third position. Stefan Faas taking to the second step of the podium. And then the Promoters' Cup winner for round number 9 of the championship is Jamie Anderson. His third win on the bounce in the category, and a great, great performance. And there is Mr. Califano, giving his trophy to Shane Brereton. Next up will be Stefan Faas. And then last but not least, of course, Jamie Anderson will receive his trophy. Another first place in the Promoters' Cup. Had a quick cheers then between trophy and GoPro. Pretty sure it is Lewis that is on the GoPro up on podium duties once again this weekend.
Ďakujeme pekne. And now, please, drivers, present your trophies to the cameras.
And there you go. They pose for pictures on the top step of the podium. And now they get the champagne out. As you hear, cameraman runs for cover. Lewis obviously backing away. This is the sort of on-board camera of Lewis. Jamie and Stefan are probably formulating a plan as well. You often see that with these guys. But they get to spray the champagne down into the pit lane, all over Lewis, inadvertently. And all the guys will head into the second race of the weekend. Very, very happy indeed. Oh, Lewis, you had to do it. You had to get close, didn't he? He was asking for that one. And are we about to see? There you go, look. Jamie Anderson gives away one of his hats. And Christina is down there with him for an interview. Maybe she'll come away with that trophy.
Yes, this is a nice trophy. This is Jamie Anderson and a bottle of champagne. Congratulations. Chrome category, first win this weekend. This racetrack is so special, but you managed to save some tyres at least.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we had struggled in qualifying, and then at the end of the day we pulled it together in the race and we had good pace. It's just a shame we couldn't get past Antonio, but other than that we're really happy with the way we went on.
So we saw lots of dust coming up and some curves. Which part is the most difficult for you?
Well, I'd say definitely the narrow section in the middle is quite a technical section, and we're just struggling with a bit of a technical problem with the truck. But other than that, the whole track, he's got his own good bits and bad bits and technical bits. But we definitely like to see the fast speed round the back and create some dust to create some problems for the ones behind.
Absolutely. I thought there was a strategic maneuver sometimes, kicking some dust into the windscreen of the other contestants. So you saying that was maybe a little bit of a hint?
Yeah, definitely. I watched Antonio and them doing it, Andre in front do it. So I thought, well, what's good for them is good for me. So we just continued to do it. So we had good pace, and at some points we had some good pace next to Antonio, which is good for us. You know, this year's been a difficult one. but to start the weekend like this is really good.
Thank you very much, Jamie Anderson. So we are covered in dust and a little bit of champagne, but this is always good. Oh, isn't it, Chaz?
It's always fantastic. Smiles and sunshine on the podium in Slovakia. It's absolutely awesome to see. It even makes me smile back here in the UK. Now, I have to say, Lewis is probably going to go and complain that he's got soaked in champagne there, but to be honest, he asked for it by going right up to Stefan when Stefan is carrying a bottle of champagne. Those two have great camaraderie of their own, which I witnessed in Hungary, and that is obviously continuing. Fans enjoying the sunshine as well. Not a sleeve in sight out there around the perimeter of the circuit, but you can see just how windy it is. So hopefully everybody is well sun-creamed up and avoiding the sunburn where possible. We all know that the wind makes it feel like you're not getting that burnt, but you probably might be. But there's a wonderful shot of just how beautiful this circuit is. Like I've said a few times already, so apologies for repeating myself. It is like one big arena where you sort of see the circuit come back on itself multiple times over the course of a lap. And we get to enjoy this beautiful, beautiful Slovakian countryside for another race later on this afternoon, as you saw there on the graphic on the left-hand side. We will be back with you with the show starting around 4:20 local time, 3:20 UK time. And then we have the same again tomorrow. We have a qualifying session, Super Pole, and then 2 races to go with it. So plenty of action still coming your way. And I will see you in the second race a little bit later on. But for now, it's time for some final words with Christina.
Thank you very much, Chaz and Evie. And the music is playing. The fans are getting downstairs right now, right into the paddock, getting some autographs. You do see the innovation cap right behind us. And it's just behind race 1. So we are ahead of race 2. We want to see you all back. Please tell your friends that we do have a live stream. It's so much fun covering the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship with you. And I think we've got some champagne stains on the cameras. Let's get those cleaned. Bye-bye.